Every spring, the Annapolis Valley awakens in a spectacular display of color. Apple blossoms cover the landscape, communities gather, and a tradition that has endured for generations comes alive once again. For many, the Apple Blossom Festival is a celebration. But behind the parades, music, and festivities lies a deeper story, one rooted in the land, the people, and the history of the valley itself. One of the most remarkable things about Apple Blossom is how it brings generations together. From young children experiencing the excitement for the first time to lifelong residents who have celebrated it for decades, the festival continues to create lasting memories. Every parade, every float, and every gathering becomes part of a story that is passed from one generation to the next.
The Annapolis Valley is a good land, the only real fruit-growing district in the Atlantic provinces. Here, the apple is king, and we found the farmers spraying the pink and pearl blossoms that conceal the crop of another year.
To understand Apple Blossom, we must first understand the valley itself. Long before the parades and celebrations, these lands were known for their orchards. Apples became an important part of the valley's identity and helped build communities throughout the region.
So the Apple Blossom Festival was something that was developed in the 1930s and continues on until today, and it had, I think it had quite an impact on the apple industry in the early days, especially because it brought tourism, lots of tourists into the area, and because they made film of the events, and a lot of excitement around the parades and all the other festivities that went with it. And they always had a whole bunch of girls that from various communities that would be princesses, and they would choose one who would be the Apple Blossom Queen of the year, and that was always a big excitement. Everybody got dressed up for the ball and all that kind of stuff.
It took an hour for the parade to reach Memorial Park, where the procession was arranged in the baseball field before a crowd of thousands. This is where the coronation was held. While the military band played Land of Hope and Glory, Nancy Hughes was escorted solemnly to her place on the throne. There she received her jewels and golden scepter, following the ancient ceremonial of the coronation of King Alfred the Great. Then Premier Stanfield placed the crown, declaring her truly the Queen of the Land of Blossom.
The very first apple trees that we know of, I think were brought over here by the Acadians from over in France. So at least that's the story I was told. It's been a tradition here for a long time. So this orchard land was assembled by my grandfather. He was a medical doctor. He was studied medicine at Dalhousie University in Halifax, and was planning to go to Boston to practice medicine, but everybody around here started sending him letters and wanting him to stay here, so he wound up staying here and being a good old-fashioned country doctor, horse and buggy. But when he started getting some money gathered together, he started buying little pieces of land here and there, and they were actually all attached to each other just over to the south of where I am here now, and started planting apple orchards. So as far as I can tell, the first apple orchard he planted was around 1912. Well, I think the thing that makes the valley special is the climate that we have here. We tend to have fairly warm summers and not too bad in the spring. Right now is kind of an exception, but it's not uncommon to have really cool weather during apple blossom here. But the climate is good. The soil is really good for fruit trees too, I think, in general. Blossom season is, well, it's the start of it's a spring event, so it's all new. You're getting new blossoms. You have the beauty of the trees and the aroma is amazing sometimes out in the orchard, and you smell the blossoms, and there's beautiful trees loaded with flowers, and it's pretty special, and it's a nice time of year. I would say it's a really comfortable place to live. I think I love this valley. I grew up here, just not very far away from where I'm standing right now, and it's got a pretty nice climate. It's got usually lots of snow in the winter time, and it's summertime is really nice, and we have lots of interesting things to do here in the valley besides growing apples. So it's I think it's a great place to live.
For local growers, blossom season represents more than beauty. It represents another year of hard work, hope, and connection to the land.
Along the backbone of mainland Nova Scotia, there is a long valley named Annapolis. It's mighty fine country, and CBC News Magazine came here for the valley's biggest event of the season, the Apple Blossom Festival. It's 4 days of merriment and pageantry which had its beginnings 25 years ago to make better known the beauty and history of this land of Evangeline.
In 1933, the Apple Blossom Festival was created to celebrate the success of the region's apple industry. Over time, it grew into one of Nova Scotia's most recognized community celebrations.
I did some research into where the idea came from. A lot of people have their own ideas. This is my version of it. Back in 1890 in New Zealand, they had a spring festival for apple blossoms, and she married the governor of Washington State. And when they were in Washington, she said to her husband, she said, "Why don't we have a revival of that and bring back some of my youth?" So they did, and Washington State became the first American place that the Apple Blossom Festival was, revived or started anyway. And now it's progressed quite a bit since that time. There's 32 places around the world that have taken up Apple Blossom Festivals. The one in Kentville came about because the editor of the local paper here, the Advertiser, Frank Burns, had a lot of contacts with the public, not the public, but the publishing businesses back then. And he heard about this revival in Washington State, and he thought it'd be a good idea. It was a good idea for two reasons. One, it celebrated an event, and a lot of people came, and businesses did all right, which at the time, if you notice, it was 1933 that the Apple Blossom Festival started locally. In 1930, they had the Great Depression, and a lot of businesses in the local area were very destitute to get money to feed their families and everything, make a living. So a festival that promoted the sale later on in the year of mature apples kind of took the public by storm. and became quite successful through the years. They had a planning committee and of some of the higher ranked businessmen in Kentville. They had a plan already, and in fact in 1926 was the first summer carnival in Kentville, which celebrated the arrival of the Loyalists and the New England planters in the area during the American Revolution. Anyway, they had a second one in 1928, but that gave them the structure format of the future 1933 first Apple Blossom Festival. Was pageant, and they made sure it was pageant and the royal regality of it and everything. And
the Apple Blossom Festival always had an extremely warm spot in my heart, even as a small child growing up only 7 miles out of Kentville. It was a thing that I always wanted to attend and had the opportunity to in many ways throughout my life. The origins, Louis has really covered it extremely well, and the only thing I really would like to add on that was there are a few more names which you can get yourself, and but the origin was a huge impact on the local area and on everyone in making the income greater in the valley from Windsor to Digby in time. It originally didn't include the whole works, but it didn't take long before they were incorporated.
Okay, it started because mainly the Depression forced it upon the town, and the town was lucky. In 1930, they had the Cornwallis Inn built, a brand new $1 million hotel by the Dominion Atlantic Railway, which would be a beautiful centerpiece for a royal event with princesses, and then finally the crowning of the Queen, Annapolis Valley. It did well because they had to sell apples. Around 1932, the export to the English market was roughly about 3 million barrels of apples a year. Now, the barrels never came back, the empty barrels. They used them in firewood for the kitchen stoves or stuff like that. So the first festival had gone an industry called cooperage, that's making of barrels. And they had to make 3 million barrels every year, send to England. And that started it off. And the advertisement was good too, good old apples.
The significance again is because of that. It increased pretty much every industry in the area. And even local farmers saw a huge impact on the demand of their products, whether it be the barrel making or whether it be the apples themselves or just general public attending the area and the income that brought.
What began as a celebration of agriculture gradually became something much larger. A tradition passed from one generation to the next.
The big thing with the festival in my youth and for a lot of years, it bonded the valley from Windsor to Digby. The mayors had a great time promoting their individual princess, only just in jest, but it was a great bonding of members of all the local political parties and councils, just because it was a competition, but yet everyone was on the same playing field. A lot of young women, myself included, had the opportunity and a door open to them in that they did things that they never really thought they would do, as in public speaking, representing a town, going from place to place and sharing your knowledge of your hometown that you were representing. Was a huge pivotal moment in my life And I know a lot of people gained a lot from that. And I have put it to use in many ways throughout my life, which at that time, as a 21-year-old, had no concept of how much it would impact my future. Apple blossom time is the most beautiful time of the year in the valley. I've traveled, I can't say the world over, but I have traveled a lot, and there's no place any more beautiful than the Annapolis Valley in the springtime. And it warms everyone's heart, regardless of what season is your favorite, just to see the beginning of a new season and a new year, it seems, even though it's not the new calendar year.
While the festival has agricultural roots, its lasting strength comes from the people who continue to support it. Each year, residents, volunteers, businesses, and visitors come together to celebrate a shared sense of community.
For Kentville, the Apple Blossom Festival really is the start to spring here. The weather changes, and it's just a great time in Kentville. Creates a lot of activity to our local businesses. Tourism obviously spikes up and creates an opportunity for a lot of volunteers and people working together. Just a lot of pride, sense of pride within the town of Kentville. Kentville's more alive, definitely during the Apple Blossom Festival. It's the decorations and just the spirit of Kentville changes for that week. One of the highlights definitely is the fireworks. They're always fun, and the parade is just filled. We're jam-packed from one end of the street to the other. I think the festival has remained important since 1933 because to me it's not just an event, it's something that's been passed through generations and it's part of our identity for the whole region. I came across a book today which shows the first Apple Blossom Festival. It's a minute book from the town of Kentville from 1933 when we gave permission to the original first year festival to use our parks. And I think we've seen things change over the years, but the tradition is still there, it's rooted there, and encourage people to keep volunteering and keep visiting and keep enjoying the Apple Blossom Festival for hopefully another century.
For the town of Kentville, Apple Blossom is more than an event. It is an expression of community spirit and a reflection of the values that continue to bring people together. Nearly a century after its beginning, the Apple Blossom Festival continues to connect past and present. It celebrates the land, it honors the people, and it reminds us that traditions endure when communities choose to keep them alive. As the blossoms fade and another festival comes to an end, the spirit of the valley remains. In its orchards, in its history, in its people, and in the generations who will gather again when spring returns. Because here in the Annapolis Valley, every blossom tells a story.